Ancient Rome, a civilization that has fascinated historians, scholars, and enthusiasts for centuries. The name conjures images of mighty legions, impressive architecture, and a society that was ahead of its time in many ways. It was a civilization that shaped the world, leaving an indelible mark on history, culture, and governance. For centuries, Rome stood as a beacon of power, its influence stretching from the British Isles to the sands of North Africa. The sheer expanse of the Roman Empire is a testament to its military and administrative prowess. From humble beginnings as a small city-state, Rome grew into a vast empire. Its success was built on military prowess, strategic alliances, and a well-organized administration. The Romans were masters of strategy and diplomacy, often turning potential enemies into allies. Roman engineers constructed roads, aqueducts, and public buildings that were marvels of their time. These infrastructures facilitated trade, movement, and communication across the vast empire. Many of these structures still stand today as testaments to their ingenuity and advanced engineering skills. Roman law and governance provided a model for centuries to come, influencing legal systems across the globe. The Roman Senate, with its complex system of checks and balances, inspired many modern democratic institutions. Latin, the language of Rome, spread throughout the empire, laying the foundation for many Romance languages spoken today. The written word was highly valued, and Roman libraries were filled with scrolls that contained knowledge on various subjects. The Roman Empire, at its zenith, seemed invincible, a testament to human ambition and organization. The bustling cities, the grand forums, and the vibrant marketplaces were all symbols of Rome's prosperity and cultural richness. Yet, no empire lasts forever. The grandeur of Rome began to fade, and the signs of decline became more apparent. Beneath the surface of its glory, cracks were beginning to appear, fissures that would eventually widen and contribute to the empire's fall. Economic troubles, political corruption, and social unrest started to erode the foundations of Rome. The story of Rome's decline is a complex tapestry woven from internal weaknesses and external pressures. Barbarian invasions, coupled with internal strife, hastened the empire's downfall. It is a tale of hubris and complacency, of societal shifts and environmental challenges. The once mighty empire struggled to adapt to changing circumstances, leading to its eventual collapse. By understanding the factors that contributed to Rome's downfall, we can gain valuable insights into the dynamics of civilizations and learn from the mistakes of the past. The rise and fall of Rome serve as a powerful reminder of the impermanence of even the greatest of empires. While Rome boasted a formidable military, the empire's vast borders proved increasingly difficult to defend. The sheer size of the Roman Empire meant that its legions were stretched thin, often having to cover vast distances to respond to threats. This logistical challenge was compounded by the diverse and often rugged terrain they had to patrol. Beyond the frontiers lived various tribes, often referred to as barbarians by the Romans. These tribes were not a monolithic group, but a collection of diverse cultures and peoples, each with their own customs, languages, and motivations. The Romans viewed them with a mix of fear and disdain, often underestimating their capabilities. These groups, driven by their own ambitions or pressures from further east, began to exert increasing pressure on the empire's frontiers. Some were pushed westward by other migrating tribes, while others sought the wealth and fertile lands within Roman territories. Their movements were not random but often strategic, targeting weak points in the Roman defenses. Tribes like the Goths, Vandals, and Huns, migrating in search of new lands and resources, clashed with Roman legions in a series of protracted and costly wars. These conflicts were not just about territory, but also about survival and dominance. The ferocity and frequency of these battles took a heavy toll on both sides. These conflicts drained the empire's coffers and manpower, weakening its ability to defend its vast territories. The financial strain was immense, as resources had to be diverted from other critical areas to fund the military campaigns. Additionally, the loss of experienced soldiers and commanders further eroded the empire's defensive capabilities. The Romans, accustomed to dictating terms, found themselves on the defensive. This shift in power dynamics was a significant blow to Roman pride and morale. The once invincible legions now had to fortify their positions and react to the movements of their adversaries. The relentless waves of migration and incursions chipped away at the empire's periphery, forcing concessions and territorial losses. Each incursion weakened the Roman hold on their territories, making it harder to maintain control and order. The empire's borders became increasingly porous, allowing more tribes to penetrate deeper into Roman lands. The once solid defenses of the Roman Empire were slowly being eroded under the constant pressure. The mighty walls and fortifications that once symbolized Roman strength and stability now stood as crumbling reminders of a fading power. The relentless onslaught from external forces marked the beginning of the end for the Western Roman Empire. The Roman economy, despite its outward appearance of prosperity, suffered from underlying weaknesses. These weaknesses were not immediately apparent to the casual observer, as the bustling marketplaces and thriving trade routes painted a picture of economic health. Roman prosperity was heavily reliant on conquest and the spoils of war. The wealth brought back by victorious legions fueled the economy, funding public works and keeping the populace content. As the pace of expansion slowed and eventually halted, the flow of wealth into Rome diminished. The once thriving markets began to see fewer customers, and the economic activity that had once been the lifeblood of the city started to wane. This led to economic stagnation and eventually decline. The grand buildings and infrastructure projects that had once symbolized Roman might began to fall into disrepair, reflecting the broader economic troubles. The Roman reliance on slave labor, while initially a source of cheap manpower, created its own set of problems. Slaves were used extensively in agriculture, mining, and domestic work, but this dependence had long-term consequences. Slaves, lacking any economic incentive, were often unproductive. Their lack of motivation and the harsh conditions they endured meant that their work was frequently inefficient and of poor quality. Furthermore, the widespread use of slave labor stifled technological innovation, as there was little incentive to develop labor-saving devices. The reliance on manual labor meant that advancements in machinery and tools were slow to emerge. The Roman government, facing a shrinking treasury, resorted to debasing its currency, leading to inflation and further economic instability. This practice eroded the value of money, causing prices to rise and savings to lose their worth. The rising cost of living placed immense strain on the Roman populace, particularly the lower classes, leading to social unrest and further weakening the fabric of the empire. The discontent among the people grew, manifesting in protests and civil disturbances which only exacerbated the empire's decline. As the Roman Empire grew, so too did the challenges of governing its vast and diverse territories. The centralized system of governance that worked well for a smaller republic struggled to effectively manage the complexities of a sprawling empire. Communication and transport across vast distances were slow and difficult, hindering effective administration. Recognizing these challenges, Emperor Diocletian divided the empire into two halves in 286 CE, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. While intended to improve governance, this division ultimately exacerbated existing tensions and weakened the empire's overall unity. The two halves of the empire, now with separate emperors and administrations, drifted apart politically and culturally. This division made it increasingly difficult to present a united front against external threats, further contributing to the empire's vulnerability. Rome's relentless pursuit of expansion, while initially a source of its power, ultimately contributed to its downfall. The empire's vast size made it increasingly difficult and expensive to defend. Maintaining legions and fortifications across such a vast territory placed a huge strain on the imperial treasury. Moreover, the constant need to defend its borders and quell rebellions within its territories diverted resources away from essential infrastructure projects and social programs. This overstretch weakened the empire's ability to address internal problems and respond effectively to external threats. The Roman Empire's insatiable appetite for conquest sowed the seeds of its own destruction. The pursuit of ever-expanding borders, while initially fueled by ambition and the promise of glory, ultimately overextended the empire's resources and capacity for effective governance. Political corruption, endemic in many empires throughout history, also played a significant role in Rome's decline. As the empire grew wealthier and more powerful, greed and self-interest began to infect its ruling class. Ambitious generals used their legions to advance their own political agendas, leading to civil wars and instability. Emperors, often more concerned with consolidating their own power than with the welfare of their subjects, engaged in lavish spending and engaged in often brutal purges of their rivals. This instability at the heart of the empire eroded public trust and weakened the institutions of governance. The endless cycle of power struggles, assassinations, and coups further drained the empire's resources and distracted from the pressing issues facing it. The Roman people, disillusioned by their leaders' corruption and ineffectiveness, became increasingly apathetic towards the fate of the empire. Historians often point to a decline in traditional Roman values and civic virtue as a contributing factor to the empire's fall. The influx of wealth and luxury goods, particularly from the East, led to a decline in traditional Roman values such as discipline, self-sacrifice, and civic duty. The Roman elite, increasingly preoccupied with luxury and self-indulgence, turned away from public service and neglected their responsibilities towards the state. This decline in civic virtue weakened the bonds of society and eroded the foundations upon which the Roman Republic and later the Empire had been built. The once renowned Roman work ethic and sense of civic duty were replaced by apathy and a focus on personal gain. The erosion of these core values, coupled with increasing social inequality and unrest, further weakened the empire from within.